I was very struck when Tim mentioned the American journalist and writer Tom Friedman's observation about the two essential ingredients for society's survival, civilization survival: democracy and topsoil. Because, as I'm sure all of you are aware, if we look at the history of societies and civilizations collapsing, if we look at, for example, at the work of a great writer and thinker like Jared Diamond, then it's overwhelmingly the case that resource depletion is at the root of civilization's fall. We all know that it was the behavior of the Norse in Greenland, their determination to operate in a way which led to the depletion of natural resources there, that led to their society, their civilization collapsing. And of course we also know that it was the desperate desire to cut down every tree possible in order to feed their desire for a particular style of monumental religious architecture that was the death, literally, of the Easter Islanders. And of course when we look back, we must think, what did the last Easter Islander think when he was chopping down the very last tree on that island? What was going through his mind at that point? Well, we must realize that just as that last tree was chopped down by that last Easter Islander 30, 50, 60 years beforehand, surely someone on Easter Island was thinking, is this the right way to go? Well, we were at that point, as we've heard. We may be 30, 50, 60 harvests away, years away from the fundamental eradication of fertility in parts of our country. And the point was made forcibly to me that countries can withstand amazing things, horrific things. Countries can withstand coup d'etats. They can withstand wars and conflicts. They can withstand even leaving the European Union. But what no country can withstand is the loss of its soil and its fertility. And therefore, there is an emergency. The signal is at red, the alarm bell is ringing, and we've heard it in DEFRA. And that's why we are taking steps, and we know we need to go further in order to ensure that that most important of natural resources, the capacity of the earth to renew itself and to provide us with food and so much more, that's why we're taking steps in order to ensure that we restore health to our soils. Now, some of the things that we've already announced, long before I ever got near the department, are part of that program. So the determination to ensure that 11 million more trees are planted in the course of the next 5 years is part of that. Now, of course, as Barbara said, trees do so much more than help the balance of our soils. They are in themselves a carbon sink, and they are in themselves in many ways, a different type of habitat which provides for biodiversity in areas from which it has been eroded. But we see the planting of 11 million more trees as part of that program of making sure that our soils, that our land environment can be refreshed, replenished and renewed. And there are other things as well. In one round table which Helen attended when we were discussing soil health in DEFRA, the point was made by the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology that we have not had for 10 years now effective monitoring of our soils. And when I asked the centre how much was needed in order to ensure that we could do that, I was told it was simply £200,000. Well, for want of a nail, the horse was lost and the kingdom was lost. For want of £200,000, we can't go on without the super work that the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology can do to ensure that we have effective monitoring. So I said there and then that in the 25-year environment plan we would commit to having effective monitoring of soil quality. But more than that, it's not just what's already in hand and what we want to measure in the future. It's also, as Patrick said, what we want to incentivize in the future. And we all know that while farmers are, in the words of a friend of mine, the original friends of the earth, we have incentivized and encouraged a type of farming in this country which has damaged the earth. If you have heavy machines churning the soil, impacting it, if you drench it in chemicals which of course were designed to ensure that yields could increase, but in the process also undercut the future fertility of that soil, yes, you can increase yields year on year on year, but ultimately you really are cutting away the ground from underneath you. Farmers know that, and they want support to change, and that's what we intend to do, not just in the 25-year environment plan, but in the agriculture bill that we want to bring forward and the new form of support that we want to generate. And it's not our job at the centre to dictate exactly what every farmer should do, but Patrick makes a powerful point about mixed farming. It's not just the case that you are generating from your livestock the means of replenishing your soil as well. It's also the case that mixed farming generates not just improvements for the soil and a sense of balance in the farm itself, it also generates exactly the types of outputs and range of habitats that provide a home for the insects that bring back farmland birds, for the other creatures who in so many parts of this country have found their natural homes denuded and eroded. It is, and there are so few examples of this in politics, that it's worth celebrating a genuinely virtuous circle. So, for that reason, it could not be more timely that this alliance has come together, because you're going to, I hope, generate the ideas which will provide us with the material in order to ensure that we can continue this work. And I hope that you will continue to provide us with a challenge in order to ensure, as Tim quite rightly pointed out, that we invest in education to ensure that agronomists, ecologists, hydrologists in the future have a chance to make this country a world leader in this area. I hope that you will hold us to account in the course of the next 5 years, because, as I said right at the beginning, that Easter Islander who 60 years before the final tree was chopped down should have been listened to. Well, we are listening to you now, and it's critical that we do so. Thank you all very much. Thank you.